And he's got high hopes. He's got high hopes. He's got eye in the sky. Oh, fuck.
I don't think you know the actual lyrics to that part.
I was so ready. I've been ready.
You have not been ready. You clearly have not been.
More ready than you. You were like, Carrie Underwood. No.
You picked the songs. This is your problem. All right, guys. Welcome to StillerBros at the Movies. We are back again with the Marvel Cinematic Universe today because we are seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp.
So, it's been 3 years since we first saw Paul Rudd grace our screens as Scott Lang. And it's still kind of weird to me seeing him as a superhero.
Yeah, it's still kind of weird that Paul Rudd is a superhero.
I mean, granted, we've seen him in a lot of... Since then he's been in Civil War, and it's still a little weird that Mike or whatever is still a superhero now.
It's still something hard to grasp, and now we have Evangeline Lilly taking on the role of the Wasp.
After she had a role as Hope Van Dyne in the original Ant-Man.
And this movie is very interesting because for the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're getting a movie that takes place entirely during the last movie in the franchise.
Concurrently, before, we're not 100% sure where it fits in the timeline. We won't be until the post-credit scene. By the way, stay through the fucking credits!
We have Michael Douglas returning. We have Peyton Reed returning to direct. We're doing so much, and we're already doing probably worse than we did last time when we did the first Ant-Man movie.
Which we rewatched that video, and my God, were we so bad at that back then. By the way, for the life of me, we played Cross.
I don't remember his name.
Damn.
I don't remember his name. It was right there on the screen, but I don't remember it, but look it up.
Yeah.
Just look it up on IMDb. We're on our way.
Corey stole, idiots!
But anyway, this time around, it's very interesting because we don't have Peyton Reed's script. We don't have Edgar Wright's script. Damn it. We don't have Edgar Wright working on this movie, so there's not going to be any probably real traces of Edgar's work.
It's not built off of Edgar Wright's foundation. In the original Ant-Man, it was basically Edgar Wright's baby since like 2004.
Since before the MCU was a thing.
And then when the MCU happened, then Marvel got the film rights. They were like, okay, Edgar, you can stay on as director. We'll keep moving you out. We'll just keep moving you forward. And then eventually, Edgar Wright was just like, I don't really want to have to wait anymore for this.
And I don't want to make the movie and I kind of don't want to make the movie you guys want me to make. So I'm sorry, but I'm leaving.
Even though it was like a month out from the shoot date, so they had to bring in a completely new director, completely new screenwriters, and a whole bunch of other people to join the team to actually finish the movie's pre-production, get into regular production and post-production.
So it was a long trip. They did a lot of moving around, and ultimately we got a pretty damn good movie as a result, despite everything that happened during production.
The first Ant-Man is still good. Even though it is basically Iron Man with shrinking, but it's got all these great elements. Paul Rudd is still a likable and funny lead as Scott Lang. Evangeline Lilly performs the hell out of her role as Hope, and Michael Douglas plays the wise old sage for Scott Lang well.
And Michael Pena, of course, stole almost every scene he was in.
Because he took his huge likability factor and the character that Edgar Wright, Joe Cornish, Adam McKay, and Paul Rudd all came together to create, and ended up becoming and that's how Michael Pena got cast in a whole bunch of good movies that have come out, and Wrinkle in Time.
We also have, but this time around we have Michelle Pfeiffer jumping on as Janet Van Dyne, the original Wasp.
Walton Goggins, aka a Mayhem from the Progressive.
He's not Mayhem. He's not Mayhem. First of all, he's not Mayhem.
Ah.
Second of all, it's all states, but that doesn't matter. We have. Fuck, I forgot her name. She has a more complicated name than Corey Stoll. But I will remember her name when we get back from the jump. But
also returning for the sequel, we got T.I., even though
David DeSmallchin,
two guys who are kind of smaller roles in the first movie. They're probably going to be smaller roles in this time around. I'm pretty sure the only reason they called them and Michael Pena back was because they turned out to be one of the best parts of the first movie.
Yeah. And then, but we'll see what happens. This movie is, it's just kind of going to be fun to get back into to have a self-contained smaller movie after the massive
universe-shifting, depressing ending that we got with Infinity War 3 months ago?
I think it's technically, I think it's we're pretty much closer to 2 months than we are to 3 months at this point.
Okay, 2 months ago. But also happy belated birthday to Captain America. You turned 100 this year, man. You don't look a day over 37.
As Chris Evans said, 100 is the new 23.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're kind of rambling. But more importantly, this is going to be interesting, especially since we don't know how this is going to end. But I imagine it's going to end with a pretty big thing for the next Avengers movie.
We'll see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The last Marvel Cinematic Universe movie kind of left things in a pretty big place. This movie needs to fill in a couple gaps that were kind of left there.
Yeah.
Infinity War and Infinity War wasn't really much of a standalone movie when you get down to it. It was the season finale of a big thing, and this is kind of like the web series in between season premieres to kind of get you to kind of hold you over.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but in the end, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, especially because, yeah, Avengers ended pretty big, and we don't know where Ant-Man and the Wasp were throughout the entirety of the movie.
We'll find out when we get out of the movie, when we get into the movie and watch it. But until then, we are just kind of we're gonna let it go. I mean, this is gonna be a fun. All this movie wants is to be fun. That's what the first Ant-Man basically was when it came out on the heels of Age of Ultron.
It's just gonna be a nice little palate cleanser before we get right back into the big stuff.
Yeah, because Captain Marvel is after that. Yes, Nick. Yes, this is the last Marvel movie of the year.
This is the last Marvel movie of the year. We won't be getting any more Marvel movies till March, so it's gonna be a long wait after getting a lot of them in succession. So we'll see what happens, but I guess we have nothing else to say because we're just gonna keep rambling if we don't. So we'll see you guys after the jump. All right, guys, we're out.
Yeah, we are out, and yeah, that was a pretty good sequel.
Yeah, about on par with the first one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the first one a bit better, more, but overall, it's
solid.
Solid. It's not. Look, it's not going to be the best Marvel movie, and after Infinity War, it's what we kind of needed.
It's nice to have a little palate cleanser, just in between, just after that. And when we got to the mid-credit scene, my heart was beating a mile a minute because I knew what was coming.
And so we've still got a lot to, but it's still nice to have a nice movie where the stakes are low. This isn't world saving. This isn't universe saving. The world was changed by, the whole universe of the Marvel Cinematic world. The whole world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was changed when Thanos snapped his fingers. But now we are. But we needed to have low stakes for this one, and that's what we've got. The stakes aren't save the world. It's get Janet out of the quantum zone, out of the quantum realm.
It's, as Batman put it, save one.
Speaking of, interesting how Batman's involved when we have got ourselves Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne, and yeah, she's pretty good with it.
Yeah.
I know Michael Douglas wanted Catherine Zeta-Jones, but hey, it's fine. We got Michelle Pfeiffer doing it great. We got Michael Douglas once again. He's not phoning it in, people. He's really doing this. In fact, there's a lot of genuine emotion behind Michael Douglas's performance.
We have Lawrence Fishburne, who's sticking it to the DC universe by coming here, I guess.
Even though he's still in the DC universe. Unlike Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton, he is still in the DC universe right now.
Although he's not the only person who's going to be in a DC who isn't still in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Because we also have Randall Park making a small, cut-ish comedic role. which he plays great because he's Randall Park and he's hilarious.
Yeah, so where he essentially plays Scott's handler, so he's kind of the comedic foil to Scott in sort of the subplot where he's under house arrest, and throughout the beginning of the movie, you kind of get the feeling that he's kind of having trouble filling the days.
He's been locked up for 2 years, and Paul Rudd definitely sells it because it's Paul Rudd. He's charismatic and funny and everything. So when we see a montage of him just doing random stuff because he's been on house arrest for 2 years at this point,
it really gives you something. And Paul Rudd is one of 5 credited writers on the script, and I gotta give him credit. Most people, when they're writing the script that they know they're gonna star in, you give all the good stuff. You would kind of end up giving most of the good stuff to yourself, but in a lot of ways, Scott Lang is playing back seats in this movie.
Yes, because he's playing backseat to Janet Van Dyne, played by
Hope Van Dyne.
Hope Van Dyne, played by Evangeline Lilly, who is fantastic in this.
You'd say she's stealing the movie, but the movie's literally called Ant-Man and the Wasp, so basically they're giving her this movie.
Yep. We also have Scott. Speaking of stealing the show, we have Scott's crew back: David DeSmalchin, T.I., and Michael Pena. They take kind of a backseat this time around.
A farther backseat, way backseat, but
just back it up. Just back it up.
But the important thing is that they are back. They're still funny. They're still playing off each other. There's a lot of scenes where I get the feeling that it was basically improv. I kind of feel like Paul Rudd's background, a lot of Paul Rudd's comedic style got a bit more of a chance to shine this time around, since he wasn't working off of an already existing script for a completely different kind of comedy.
Yeah, and then we have Hannah John Kamen. We got her name now.
Yes! We got the villain's name! Well, actually, she's not really much of a... Look, the thing is that this movie doesn't really have a solid villain. But seriously, there's no one character who you would call the bad guy. Even the straight up cartoon character bad guys that Walton Goggins and his backup crew basically play in this movie are not necessarily the bad guys for the movie, because they're just essentially things that they can kind of throw around in the big car chase sequence.
But the character of Ghost is actually kind of complicated, but she's nowhere near complicated as Killmonger or Thanos.
Killmonger, Thanos, Ego.
She's maybe on the level of like Loki. She's maybe on the level of a lesser... let's put her on the level of maybe Hela.
Where there's a backstory, there's something there, but it's not quite. But they don't quite do as much with it as you would hope with a story like that.
Yeah, we're not getting Loki, or she's definitely not Loki. She's definitely not having this complex. She's definitely not Vulture levels either. She's kind of just below Vulture, where you get where she's coming from, you know her backstory, but at the same time, she kind of is just also a generic villain at times.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, and the action sequences are still really creative with the whole concept of shrinking and shrinking and growing and regrowing and all that stuff, and getting big, gigantic and everything like that. Now that we have established that Scott Lang can grow to up to 65 feet, is at least what they are giving us in actual terms of numbers.
Yeah, we have we get to some amazingly creative stuff with the size alterations tech.
Especially when you consider that Ghost actually is a villain that can kind of match them in certain ways by her ability to move through, by her ability to phase and teleport and kind of move between dimensional rifts and shit like that. But by the way, no one has been bitching about the fact that Ghost is a man in the comics. So come on. So yeah, guys, pay more attention. So guys, if you're going to be sexist, maybe pay a little more. Who am I kidding? They're not gonna pay attention.
What do they care? They're just gonna be sexist for different reasons. But
anyway. but the combination of Ghost's powers and Ant-Man and the Wasp's abilities kind of makes the action sequences a lot more creative because they're bouncing off walls, they're shrinking, they're growing, they're moving through stuff, they're jumping into things. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not that like Black Panther one take through a Korean casino levels of awesome action sequences, but it's there. It's really showing that Peyton Reed, the guy whose biggest claim to fame before these movies was essentially that he directed the first Bring It On movie, Yes Man, and the Yes Man by Jim Carrey is essentially proving to be a somewhat decent action comedy director.
Yeah. All in all, this is not the best Marvel movie, but it's certainly a good Marvel movie that can definitely hold its own amongst the rest of the canon.
It's not. In fact,
but we weren't asking for the best.
We're not asking for the best. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. We're not gonna be. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing. It's incredibly wrong with it. Nothing that really hurts to watch. This doesn't hurt to sit through, and I'm not gonna go around. And I'm not gonna go around ripping on it because it's a good movie.
Yeah, we don't need Avengers levels of movies right now. We just need a Marvel movie to get us through the time between now and the next Avengers movie because we just needed something after that whole depression we just went through.
The entire point of the Ant-Man movies is essentially to prove that Marvel can go back to basics sometimes. It doesn't always need to be save the world. It can just be perform this one task.
Do this one thing, save this one person.
It's what makes the Ant-Man movies good. The Ant-Man movies are good because
they're not like the rest of the Marvel movies.
The Ant-Man movies are good because after the Marvel movies have gone so high up, they prove that sometimes it's not a huge thing. It doesn't need to be a huge thing.
Sometimes you can just say, let's just do this one thing. We don't need to save the world every time.
Like the first Ant-Man is a heist movie. Yes, by the end of the movie there is somewhat of a save the world element to it, but it's kind of on the back burner when you consider the fact that that the reason they have to save the world is because they need to get the heist done. This one, it's just save one person, and the reason that they need, and the thing that makes it a real superhero movie is that the quest to save this one person puts a lot of other people at risk because of other people's reasoning for wanting for wanting all this stuff that's going down.
Yeah, and this is a very good movie. It deserves to be continued as an MCU movie. We get to see a lot of cool stuff, and we do definitely get to see where Ant-Man and the Wasp were during Infinity War, and we're now ready to jump into the next movie, which is going to be Captain Marvel in March. But that's not the movie next because you guys need to be ready for next time when.
Now I know what a TV dinner feels like.
Alright guys, like, favorite, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.